This right here, the driveway when Medgar came home, and he was assassinated right here. What it do, YouTube? This your man G. Lewis back again. Welcome to the SIP. Today, as I said, we're at the home of Medgar Evers, and I'm about to get a tour.
Hi, my name is Nin Horde. I live in Jackson, Mississippi, specifically in Byram, and this is the Medgar Evers Home National Monument. Welcome to you, our visitor, and welcome to the audience of our visitors' channel. And it's a space that Medgar and Merle shared since they did spend some time in Chicago. During their time in Chicago, they got to really know each other a lot more and fall more in love. Also doing summer jobs for for all parents, agricultural and mechanical school at that time as well. During their time in Chicago, Medgar Evers told Miss Marley that you will have my 4 children and that we will be married, even before he even said I love you to her. Coming to this home, to this space, Miss Merle, with her 3 children, bringing her husband here, them forming this connection with their community, that dream was finally coming true for them. Rena is their only daughter. She is the middle child out of the 3. She is now the director of the Medgar Evers Institute. She also went to school, studied fashion. She has a bunch of other accomplishments in her own right. Medgar both moved into this neighborhood. It was being freshly built. And so this entire block was built by 2 African-American gentlemen who used their PA loans to help fund this community for Black middle-class America. And so you had teachers, lawyers, doctors, businessmen, all looking throughout here. Even Margaret Walker Alexander, the activist and poet herself, was one of the first women to buy a home on this street. And so just due to how fresh the community was being built up, especially the homes, Medgar got a lot to say in how this community was built, just due to safety precautions put in place for his family, but also for his community and other leaders who would be coming through these doors. And so, as you saw, that there is only a side door and a back door. And so that was so they could have more view and better visibility of the street, as well as the angles of the street. On the roof, once you go outside, you'll be able to see that there are rocks on the roof, and that was to help offset the balance and footing of anyone who were to, if there was an intruder on the roof, they would hear that. If you walked on marbles or rocks as a kid, like I did, you get off balance and you fall. So that was what the rocks would help do. And you see the kids' beds are on the floor. So Medgar Evers, he was a veteran. He taught his kids how to belly crawl to the tub. The tub is cast iron, so it provides that shield of protection for the kids. And so the beds were put on the floor to give them easier access to roll off of and go to that tub. So if any danger were to occur, they would roll off their beds and crawl to the tub to their bed in safe space.
Well, let me ask you this. Was this prior to him becoming active in the NAACP, or that he had this forward thinking when he built his home here, or was this after he had become active in the NAACP?
They were always talking about safety. And so when they moved here, he moved here because he got the job as field secretary for NAACP.
Okay.
And so he lived in Mount Bayou before then. But during his time in Mount Bayou, he got to work with Dr. T.R. Howard, who is a businessman, entrepreneur, activist in his own right. And he worked on the Regional Council of Negro Leadership, helped start that, as well as volunteering with the NAACP. So he has always been involved and active in civil rights. Most likely, the safety was probably at a more alert, just due to him being the first field secretary here in Jackson, and his name being put on, being brought out nationally, just due to him trying to go into Ole Miss and desegregate that. And so that kind of helped put him on the map nationally with the world and with the NAACP. And so that's probably like heightened up his safety. But most likely he and Merle were always thinking of safety just due to them being black and being in Mississippi in the South. And so this is the bathroom. The bathroom's about 100% original to the find. Daryl, their oldest son, did pass away in 2004 due to colon cancer, and he was able to see justice being made on behalf of his father due to Miss Murley's pursuit before passing away. He is a businessman and as well as photographer, and in his own right, you can find a lot of his work online as well. James, he's still alive. He does live outside the Los Angeles area as a commercial photographer. So a lot of editorial work, portrait, working on TV shows as well. For him and Daryl, there was always that talk about how they weren't the next Medgar or the next Dr. King, but their father fought for them to have that freedom of choosing, of choice. And so
Great.
they wanted to be just like their father, be that known worldwide, or if they just wanted to simply own land and start a family and have a simple life. And so that is what they did. All of the children do honor their father and their mother, trauma from their father and accomplishments from both of their parents throughout their personal lives as well. And so Medgar even loved photography himself, but it was more of a hobby for him. And so that kind of helped James to find the connection to his father as well.
Beautiful.
So this is the primary bedroom, Medgar Murley's bedroom. So this is where Miss Murley and her, 3 children, as far as you're counting the child that was still in her belly, were that night of the assassination. And so Medgar Evers, he was coming home from the NAACP meeting. Usually he gets out on the passenger side. And so that's another safety measure that was put in place. And so that area where the garden is, were you able to see that?
No, I didn't see the garden.
Well, there is a garden area up there. It's like a park area as well.
Yes, I saw that.
Yes,
yeah,
so
okay.
that entire side of homes weren't built until about the 70s. So they all, Murley and Medgar both agree that if any danger were to occur, it will come from that area just due to, at that time, it was all vacant. And so it was just trees and vacant lots. And so, especially at night, it was pretty dark. And so they agreed that if anything were to come, it would come from that area and they would get out on the passenger side just to have that quicker access to that side door, but also the car acts as a shield as well.
Wow.
And so Miss Murley, they had 2 cars at the time, Miss Murley's car, then Medgar's car. So he would park behind her. And so that kind of gives him that protection going in this home. That night, he did get out on the driver's side just due to the exhaustion of working so much, as well as he had T-shirts in the back of his trunk that he had to get out. And so that was quicker access to those T-shirts as well. And so the assassin, using a .30-06 hunting rifle, which is used to hunt elk and deer, also used as that one-shot kill, so you don't have so many punch wounds in the meat. Using that, he also had a scope on there. The assassin was also a veteran himself, specialized in marksmanship. And so finally got his opportunity. Medgar getting the shirts out of his trunk. He was shot in the back, coming through the living room, through the kitchen, off of the fridge, onto a counter. So Miss Murley does hear the gunshot. She does go outside to see her husband trying to get to his family, knowing that it could be his last time seeing them. The children are taught to belly crawl, so that's what they do, grabbing their 3-year-old brother James at the time and going to the tub, but they do hear their mother's screams, and so eventually the entire family is outside surrounded by husband and their father. So one of the things that Rena talked about is just how much she remembers asking her father to get up. Because especially during that time, roles were very important for men and women, and men were the protector. They were that defense, they were that shield. And so what more could you do? And to ask this person who was that not only for your family, but for his community or his world. He wasn't doing this just for me, he was doing this for everybody. And so a man like that, he's like Superman. So what more could you do than to just ask him to get up? And so the beautiful thing about that night is just how close this community became and how they do come together to help Miss Murley and her children. And so even Medgar putting him on the star's bed, assisting him in the back of the truck. Mr. Wells, the neighbor next door, they used his truck to bring him to UNC Hospital, but he was denied treatment and treatment when they got there. But they did have a famous heart surgeon, and there was a famous heart transplant being done, and eventually they decided that they didn't want to look bad just due to how big Medgar Evers is with his community, not a civil rights leader, and so eventually they let him in. But he did die within that hour. And so there's always that talk of maybe he could have lived for 5 more hours, or he could have just lived entirely. We don't know, but the story does not end there. The story does not end with him being assassinated. The story definitely continues. It continues with Miss Merle picking up after Medgar Evers. Miss Merle was born in Vicksburg, Mississippi, under her grandmother, her aunt. And so her grandmother, her aunt being teachers, they really just wanted her to survive and get through life, create a life for yourself. Don't worry about being a civil rights leader. Don't worry about trying to throw yourself into that environment, just due to how dangerous it was, and just due to them being teachers and being active and being a civil rights leader. You could definitely lose your life, your land, your job. And so for them, they just really taught her to, just kind of survive, be aware of your surroundings, but get by and go on, and education and play music and go to Carnegie Hall, which eventually she did in 2021. And so she always grew up with that idea. And so she didn't grow up really with that idea of the fighting for rights as Medgar Evers did. And so he was born in Decatur, Mississippi, with his father and his mother. And his mother was very much like Miss Merle's fraternal grandmother, her aunt. She was a holy goer. She was very community oriented, and she didn't really want her boys seeing in civil rights either. And so, although she wanted them to be aware and to know their surroundings, was tell the truth of where you are and who you are and how the world sees you. But I want y'all to survive. I want y'all to stay alive. And so their father, he was a landowner. He owned his own farm. He rented homes on his land. He worked at the sawmill. He was a businessman himself. And so he also had a lot of respect around Decatur, just due to the fact that he did not step aside to Jim Crow law. He stood his ground. He was a human being. He knew himself, and he knew what he was capable of, what he was owed as a human being, and he made sure he fought for that. And so although Medgar Evers had a lot of leaders and a lot of people he looked up to, his father was his main influence for going down that path, because his father always stood up for himself and for his family as a black man, as a black family in Mississippi. And so Medgar Evers, when Medgar Evers and Charles Evers went with their father one day to pay a fee and sawmill commissionary. And so they had to pay off something that they had bought or something. And so their father goes in to pay, and the manager is a white man. He basically is telling the father that he owes more than what he had trying to pay. And of course, their father is like, no, like I know my money, I know what I owe you, and this is what I owe you. So there's a polite back and forth, and eventually the manager pulls out a pistol. And so Medgar Evers' father grabs a Coca-Cola bottle, breaks it, and just is like, if you cross this, it's over for you. And so at that point, he's able to pay the money that he's owed, and there's nothing more, nothing less. And so even having his 2 boys there doing the same thing that they see their father is doing, standing up for themselves. And so there's always that strength that came from them, from your father. And so the story even was going to use with you as a visitor and the audience hearing the story, so you guys are able to hear the story and hear the truth and go on and share it as well. And so I will conclude there with my tour. Thank you, visitor, for visiting us and coming. Thank you, audience, as well. I hope it was all enjoyed, and I'll let you finish exploring the rest of the home. There
you have it, the last home of Medgar Evers with his family. The ranger inside shared she did a great, job of telling the story of Medgar Evers and his family, and his military sensibility to protect his family at all times by making sure that the kids' mattresses were placed on the floor and teaching them the importance of dropping down, crawling to the bathroom if there was a situation going on in the home. I find it quite remarkable, man. This is an area that needs to be shared with all people in Mississippi. I don't care what national creed or color you are. If you're from the SIP, Medgar Evers' story is a story that you need to know. So if you're a parent, grandparent, and you got kids, you need to bring them here to this monument here and share with them the story about Medgar Evers, man. Because if we don't do it, schools aren't going to teach our kids this information. So this your man G. Lewis signing out. To the next video, y'all stay blessed.